Hello everyone, welcome to another ACB live stream with me, Kyle. If you don't know me, I am the shop manager here at ACB. I know usually it's Trent behind the camera, but today we'd like to change it up a little bit because I got a new toy, or tool as we like to call them, a new trumpet from our lovely friends at Adams Brass. So hello again. Feel free to ask any questions during this video as well. We had an amazing chat yesterday on the Positive Trumpeters Worldwide page on Facebook all about the Adams Brass line, with a lot of Adams artists and the head brass manufacturer over there, Neil Adams, of course, which was amazing to see him. As always, you know, this week we would be at ITG, so it was very nice to see some familiar faces that we were not normally able to see now with the situation that's going on. And we like to be safe at the shop as well. And we have two of our employees, Patrick and Josh, are going to be moderating and seeing if we can answer any of your questions that you pop up on the comments on YouTube or on Facebook. We're doing a dual live stream here. So hello to both groups. But enough about that. Let me tell you a little bit about the new horn I just got. This is kind of sort of an A1 trumpet, the Gen 2, excuse me. But it has a few key differences to the standard, we'll say the selected model trumpet, which has been extremely popular so far, enough so that we can't actually keep them in the shop other than Trent's personal one, which he's not going to sell because he loves it, which is wonderful. So originally I had an idea for this horn probably like, I want to say a year ago or something. I mean, I've owned a lot of horns in the Adams line before, and been very happy with all of them, but I'm kind of picky, I guess you would say, in terms of what I really wanted. Ever since I moved here to Kansas City, since then, I've been doing more wedding band, GB kind of gig stuff. So I needed a horn that could be, you know, a little brighter, a little more poppy, but I had an A4, which I loved, and now is with a good home, thankfully. But it wasn't the right fit for me for that type of situation, you know? So I decided I wanted something that could do both, you know? I could use it in a small group jazz setting, I could use it in a pop setting, or, you know, I'm sure I would get yelled at if I walked into an orchestra with this thing, but I could use it there. So I decided, you know, to work with this idea of a tunable bell trumpet. As you can see here, there's no bracing between there, and the bracing between the valve block and the lead pipe there is the only thing, and the bell is connected here via this stop screw, and here again via the valve block. So this way I can switch my bells out, which is one of the huge factors in how an instrument will sound, especially a trumpet. So I had this one bell made for my standard, you know, jazz work. This is a larger diameter A10 bell that has been flared out to 5.5 inch diameter on the end, and is also made of sterling silver. So let me see if I can get a zoom in for you guys there. I can do it with gloves on. It's a little difficult. Actually, well, see if I can get it. There you go. So on the bottom, sterling silver. Yes, yes. So this is the same a comment that we saw earlier. Let's see, sterling silver. Donald, yes, this is the same kind of integrated mouthpiece as the A8 trumpet, but yes, it is a bit wider. It doesn't have the whole sleeve like the other one as well. And let's see. So I can actually unthread this mouthpiece. I won't unthread the whole thing because it takes a very long time. The threads are super fine. Let's see if you can see that there. Focus, there we go. And there's our logo right there on there, the Austin Custom Brass. And we make the mouthpieces for all of the Adams A8 trumpets, and for this new one. So this, thanks Ben, yes, it is a very pretty instrument. This newest lightweight design was made for Christian Scott's newest horn. So I don't know how many they've made so far, but it's fairly new to the Adams lineup. Enough about me talking. Let me play a little bit on this first bell, which again is the A10 sterling silver 5.5 inch flare. Let me just adjust the mic levels real quick. Again, back with the mic level. So, yeah, this is the bell that I primarily would be using for like small group jazz or, you know, jam sessions kind of things, stuff around the Kansas City jazz scene. Yeah, this is. I'm very, very happy with it. I've had this instrument since Tuesday, I want to believe, so only a few days, and the valves haven't even broken in or anything. It's a wonderful, wonderful instrument. Speaking of valves, one of the cool things that I ask for on all of my Adams horns, and Neil always hates me for it, are the metal valve guides, if it will show there. There you go. And they're very, very hard to make. And so that's why every time I ask for them, Neil's like, you know. But I think they do something to the sound. Some people don't like them because they do sound a little bit clunkier. Like, but I think there was a reason that a lot of older manufacturers use them, you know. I think it does something to the sound. It could be placebo, but anything that makes me play better or makes me think I play better, I'm down for. So yeah, so this horn is all modular, which is cool. I also have 2 tuning slides with this horn. So I have the standard one here, which is the same standard one that goes on every A1 trumpet. And then the other one I have here is a braceless tuning slide. And this one is actually made of sterling silver. I don't know if it'll show up for you there, but it's very faint. Yeah, SS. And this one also has no brace on it, which I actually really liked before. When I started playing wedding gigs, I was playing on the new Yamaha Bobby Shoe trumpet, and that one has the same kind of lack of bracing there. So I wanted to try it out and see how it works, and I thought I would like the Sterling bell with the Sterling slide, but now I've actually really liked the Sterling bell with the yellow brass slide, and I've liked my second bell, which is yellow brass with the Sterling slide. So confusing, isn't it? So let me switch the bell over too for you guys, so you can get a sound of what the second bell will sound like. The sound of a sound. And I want to be very careful. There we go. And it looks really funny without a bell. Oh yeah. So the no bell Adams A1. Oh, hold on. Let me change my mic levels so you can get the best sound. Just as intended. That's the sound I was going for, you know, when I wanted a new trumpet. I wanted that really airy, you know, lack of tone. So now that I have both of the bells detached real quick, you can do a quick side-by-side. So in my right hand, I have the larger diameter A10 bell, and in my left, I have the standard A1 flare. Let's see if I can put them up next to each other too. They're slightly, the slightly larger A10 bell. And they're all both a 45 gauge thickness. The standard A1, I believe, is 5.0, but I just always liked the 45 gauge, which is kind of light, but not too light. So now I'll swap over the tuning slide. It looks even more hilarious. So no brace on this slide. And then we're swapping over to the lighter weight bell. Very important when, if you do have a tunable bell horn, when you're changing everything to retighten your screws, because if you lose them, that's not great. So, bam. The other thing I really like about a tunable bell horn is that I can cheat, and I don't have to pull my slide out as far as I really like to, because I can pull it out from the bell. So there, I can pull it out that far, and then have my slide out that far, and instead of having my slide out the whole way. So, now we have the lighter weight, the standard A1 bell in yellow brass with the braceless sterling silver tuning slide, and I'll give this one a play as well. Let me just adjust my mic real quick. So, I don't know if it came through as well over that, but the sound is completely different. It's a little more compact. I actually have been really liking this bell, which makes a lot of sense because the horn was designed with this bell. And it actually, I think the response compared to the sterling silver with this bell is a bit faster on this bell, which is why I love it for, commercial work and whatever. And your standard just sounding like a trumpet. This one is more like closer to a trumpet, flugel, cornet kind of mix, But this one really rings, and the other cool thing about the tunable bell horn is that it vibrates very well due to the lack of bracing. Normally you'll have a brace here and a brace here and everything, but in this case there's none. And yeah, so I don't know if anyone had any questions about the finish as well. This is something I wasn't sure that they were able to do. So I sat down with Neil at TMEA, I believe, this past year. And I was like, okay, so can we do this? Can we do this? And he's like, no, we can't do that. Oh, yes, we can do that. So what we ended up doing is copper plating the entire instrument, just like the Copernicus that we sell through our shop that Adams makes. And then they left the slides and caps and like the inner bell and everything polished. And then they antique finished the rest of the horn, which is kind of like an acid treatment. And then they clear coated the whole thing in lacquer so it wouldn't brown or oxidize immediately. So this thing was probably very, very difficult to make in terms of, one, the build, and two, the finish. I can't imagine how annoying it was. I'm so sorry, guys, but you made a really good trumpet. And again, we have the cool finger buttons here, which is the abalone. There we go. The purple, which is, I love. I had it on several of my past Adams horns. And you can get them on any of the Adams line horns, and yeah, it's just a really awesome instrument. Again, I've gone through more Adams horns than I care to admit to you guys, but I'm really happy to actually find one that is very versatile and that I can use in multiple settings, multiple situations, and everything. So far, it's been really amazing, and I'm very happy with the work that the factory has done. Again, one of the things that they did too on this horn is the custom pinky ring right there. or as someone called it the other day, the custom octave key, uh, which is really cool. And they had done this on. I had an earlier horn that they did this on, and they also did it on my friend Tom's custom A8 trumpet as well. Oh yeah, any questions about my Adams journey? Yeah, that's an interesting one. So I could start from the beginning. I had played, several different horns when I was, growing up, getting more acclimated with the trumpet. Thanks, Justin. Yes, it is very sweet. So I had been playing a certain manufacturer. We won't name names here. But I went to, I think it was the NAMM show one year, and they had just come out with the new A6 for Dante Winslow, which is kind of like their take on like the optimized, modernized version of the Constellation. And I played like 2 notes on that horn, and I was like done. I was like, I need this trumpet right now. And Emil's like, no, I made it for Dante. It's his horn. It had a solid nickel silver bell, a 5.5-inch flare, which as you know, I really like. And so I was like, oh, Dante, come on, man, you gotta let me buy this horn. And I was like, okay, cool. Like, Emil can make me a new one. And I was like, yeah. So I walked away with that horn, and I also had an F2 Flugel, which I had to sell before I moved here, unfortunately, because I needed money to move. But that was also a great horn. Now I have an F5 Flugel, which matches this finish, which is also amazing. I'm super happy with that Flugel. Now I don't have to buy another Flugel for the rest of my life. I'm very, very happy. So I started, I believe... Oh yeah, the 4x Flugel in the background. That's actually for sale on our web store. So if you want to check that out, I'm sure one of the guys can link you the listing. But it's a really cool instrument for sure. Check it out. We got some videos up on it. It's a completely custom instrument without any wait time, which is a real cool part. Again, let's see. Let's play some more on, I'll stay with the yellow brass bell. Ah. Wow. So that's a line from one of the wedding bands I play in town, or did play in before, the gigs erased. But that's the reason I really like this bell. And I originally wanted this horn when I was conceptualizing it. I wanted it to be made off of the Adams A4 LT, but I played like 2 notes on one of the new A1s when it first came out, and I was like, okay, this horn is really good. The only chance I really got, because again, we've been selling them at every trade show we went to, and it's very hard to keep them in stock at the shop. The only one I really played a bunch on was at the NAMM show, and we sold the ones that were there too, so I could warm up on them before the show started. And I was just sitting there like playing a G, like right in the staff, like over and over. So let me see. So I would just sit there, and you can ask Josh before every show, and I was just sitting there just like, oh man, I love the response of this horn. I would just sit in that one note all day and be super happy. So when I figured that out, I was like, okay, I want my new horn to be based off of this. And again, yes, I'm playing the CB mouthpiece with an A1 backbore on it, if I remember correctly. Although we are making one for me with a KA3 backbore, which I'm super excited about. That's one of our commercial backbores, so it'll be great to try with this lighter weight bell. So let me switch back to my other setup as well. To the other bell that I used at the beginning for some of the folks that probably weren't here for the beginning of the broadcast. Yeah, no problem. Anytime. I'm happy to show off the amazing work that they did with this horn. And then let's put... So standard, single brace, yellow brass tuning slide. Bam. And then we're going with the larger 5.5 inch A10 sterling silver bell. And it's cool they actually label my bells, if you can see if it'll focus there. It's kind of hard to see with the antique finish, but they'll label the mandrel they use and also the thickness, so that way I don't forget. Let's see, boom. Boop. And boop. Tighten them up. How does the tunable bell setup feel compared to the normal bracing? That's an excellent, excellent question. To me, it vibrates a little freer than your standard horn with your like Z bracings, or if you have a con or something with the point-to-point bracings. You can feel it for sure in the bell when you're playing. It just resonates like on a whole different level. The articulation and the response and the slotting are a lot different, I would say, than a horn with your standard bracings. But the cool thing about this horn is that it has this integrated mouthpiece receiver, so that makes the targets on the notes a little fatter, a little wider, you know. So that way it kind of counteracts the lack of bracing in the horn. So I don't know. It feels it's all very new to me, but so far I like it a lot, and I haven't had any problems with it. I actually really like the vibration with the lack of bracing between the bell here and the pipe. So I hope that answers your question. It's a little ambiguous. Oh, hey Pete Carroll, how are you doing? Thanks for joining us, Pete, and another Adams player. Amazing, plays for Al Green. So yeah, it's nice to be again back in a video. The last, I think, live video I did with Facebook was a comparison between one of the Adams A1s we had in stock and the Adams A2. Yeah. Oh, you missed my playing. Oh, well, let me play a little bit more for you then, Frank. Hold on. I don't know if the sound over the mic really does this Sterling bell justice. It's such an amazing sound when you get to hear it in person. A lot of people always ask, like, what does sterling silver do? Or, you know, how does it sound? What does it do to the sound? And I'm like, I always have this answer. I'm like, I don't know. It does something. It just, there's something to the sound nothing, no other metal does, you know? You just kind of have to try it out. It does this like amazing spin, and when you push it, it feels like the whole room, you know? It's a wonderful, yeah, exactly. It vibrates. It's such a vibrant metal, you know? How does the mouthpiece receiver differ from the A8? So, yes, Josh, thank you for answering. Yeah, it is a bit lighter than the standard A8 receiver. If you can see, let me hold it up to the camera a bit here for you. There you go. So there's the new lighter weight receiver. And again, it's threaded. Gary, that's a wonderful question. What's the difference playing in the tuning slides? So, to me, the yellow brass is a bit more, you know, has a bit more core to it. It's a little bit more familiar, and it has a bit more stability to the sound because a lot of it has to do with the bracing there as well. The braceless slide, which I have here, and is also made of sterling silver, to me offers a little bit more resistance. And I found this, I had a sterling silver slide on my last Adams A4 as well. And for me, it did the same thing. It added a bit of resistance, which I think is why I like it a bit better on the lighter weight horn, or sorry, the lighter weight bell than I do on the sterling bell. Because if I'm playing like a pop gig or, you know, wedding band GB stuff, I want a little bit more of something to push against. So if I have a little bit more of that resistance in there, this slide actually helps me a lot if I have to play like September or something that I don't want to play. But you got to make those trumpet dollars, am I right? What means sterling silver bell? Entirely sterling silver horn. I imagine that would be very heavy and hard to make, but so for an example, we were talking about this yesterday during the yeah, it would also be very expensive. The bell alone is like 1,200, I want to say. So it's not plated silver. You have to understand it's pure sterling silver. So this is a metal that, one, is very expensive by itself, and then two, in order to work it into a bell and hand hammer it and spin it on the mandrel and, you know, put the bead on and everything is very difficult. So that's the reason the bell is so expensive. I know I've talked with Neil about it, and then I've also talked with our friends over at BAC who have a few bells that they've made out of sterling silver. And like Mike was saying, like, oh man, it's such a pain, and then you don't want to mess it up because then you mess it up and then you're out all of that money in raw material. So there's not a lot of companies that actually offer that option for a good reason. But Adams, thankfully, is very good at what they do. I'm very thankful that they were able to make this bell. Does the tunable bell affect the slotting with a lack of bracing? Yeah, so I did touch on that a little earlier. It does for sure if you're used to any other horn, like a Schilke or whatever with a tunable bell. It does make the slots a bit looser for sure, but I think a lot of it is counteracted here by this integral mouthpiece, which is really cool. Again, I've only owned this instrument for like 2 or 3 days so far. So once I get the chance to dig into it more, I'm sure I'll have more opinions about it. But for now, I'm loving it. And I would love to take it on a gig, but obviously that's not going to happen for quite a while. So until then, it'll just sit in my practice room. But yeah, it's really cool the things that the factory can do. And if you guys, again, have any questions about any of this stuff, you can give us a call, 816-410-0826, or shoot us an email, info@austinCustomBrass.com, and we'd be happy to answer any of your questions. I know Gary's in the chat. We were chatting a bit about my new horn and all these different ideas. And yeah, and Adams is thankfully a company that you can work with, and they can make your dreams into this. And we were talking about that yesterday. The parts of the reason that I love working with them is because one, I have like all these silly ideas for a trumpet, and then they're like, okay, fine, we'll make it. And two, they're such a like a family, you know. Like you go see Meal or anyone else, and Rude, and they're such wonderful people. And when you join their family, you're really joining their family. So you're like, okay, can you make this for me? Blah blah blah, and they're like, yeah, sure. You know, it's just wonderful, wonderful people to work with. So the retail on this horn setup, okay, well, not cheap is what I will say, especially with the bell and the integrated receiver. I did have to sell a few horns to get this, but thankfully I get the employee discount, which is nice. But I've bought a lot of Adams even before I worked for Austin Custom Brass here. Just because they blew me away from the first few notes I played on their horns at NAMM so many moons ago. But if you have any questions about pricing, you can shoot us an email for sure, and we'll work something out for you. Again, yeah. So let me play a little bit more on this bell. So this is, for anyone that's tuning in, this is the A10 bell that has been flared out to 5.5 inches on the end, and it's made of pure sterling silver. 6 by your count. I think that's low, Josh. I don't know, but let me play a little bit. So that was the A10 bell, the sterling silver, and let me switch back to the other setup. I've actually played this bell with the sterling silver slide as well, and I haven't liked it so far as much as I do with the yellow brass tuning slide. But again, I've only had the instrument for a few days, so I'm sure if I dig into it a little more, that can change. Again, I hope everyone is doing well out there, staying safe, washing those hands. I know that we're cool at the shop here, and it's very nice to be social distancing and still being able to work. I can't imagine how hard it must have been to do a tuning bell with this kind of radius bend on it as well. But they pulled it off. Thank you, Gary. Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Jonah. You guys are awesome. Thanks for tuning in. So again, this is the what mouthpiece? This is the CB mouthpiece with the A1 backboard. Yes, wow. Josh already knew it. He's like, oh, I know A1 backboard. There's a reason he's our mouthpiece consultant. Let me turn the mic down a little bit and play a bit on this bell. So this is the standard A1 bell, yellow brass, the A1 Gen 2 bell, I should say, and a 45 gauge thickness. Franz, good to see you. Yeah, Jonah, I agree. Totally different horn. Like the feel is a lot closer, but the sound is very different. And I think the bell is a huge part of that, which is why I wanted to go with two. Because I didn't want to be bringing, cutting around two horns all the time necessarily. I do realize I'm bringing around two bells now, but it's the same kind of thing. So now I have my Fugel in my guard triple, which is great, my F5 Fugel. And then I set my new A1 in there, and I put my bell in the taco insert on top of my Fugel, and it sits there, doesn't move, doesn't get crushed, nothing. It's a wonderful setup, and I love that case. I'll actually have to show you guys that sometime because the setup is really great. Thank you guys for watching again. Yeah, this has been a really fun live stream so far. I do have a lot of stuff to ship today, thankfully. Thank you guys for all the wonderful support you've been showing us throughout this whole thing and in general. And again, we're always here for you guys. So if you ever have any questions or anything, you can give us a call, shoot us an email. We're always here for you. Thanks again for tuning in. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. To stay up to date with all of the stuff we have going on. We've been launching a new mouthpiece demo that Trent has been doing, I think, every morning. And that has been a huge undertaking, but it's really cool to go through all of the standard stuff that we make, and we make a lot of different sizes of mouthpieces. So if there's something on there that you're very curious about, one of our mouthpieces that we haven't done a video of yet, shoot us an email, and we can get you a video of that mouthpiece. To change out the mouthpiece, it's not quick, is the answer. But that's the point. So if you're someone that changes mouthpieces often, this is probably not your setup. But if you like to stick with one thing for most of everything, this is the way to go. Yes, like Trent. But again, thank you guys for tuning in. As always, we're very happy to be able to show off these amazing instruments from Adams. And thanks a lot. We'll catch you in the next video. Thank you.